it was just another one of those games where Tennessee defensively did okay, but the shots just were not falling in offensively, especially in the paint. That was what was the biggest concern for me offensively. But I think the thing that was the biggest letdown in this game for Tennessee had to be the rebounding, right? They get beat 40-36, I believe was the final number on the boards. And what's concerning here is the fact that Florida Atlantic had one guy that was 7 feet tall. Outside of that, everybody else was like 6'4" or shorter. Tennessee was considerably taller than this team,
Yeah, they have the
and
height.
they got beat on the boards. I can't really explain what happened there. They just didn't, rebounding's a choice, like one coach told me once upon a time, and they didn't choose to rebound in this game for some reason.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me that was one of the most frustrating things watching it. Also, just missing those 3-point shots in prime time, something that's very very Tennessee. If you watch any Tennessee games, you could predict that happening, and it's disappointing to see them go. I do have to give credit to FAU. They are a 9 seed, but for me, watching this game, this is just the type of game that I knew. I just expected Tennessee to lose, just because if you've been watching Tennessee all year, it's like true Tennessee fashion, beating a historically good team like Duke and then going in to this round with everything on the line, high stakes, just to lose to a 9 seed of a school that's not nearly as well known or recognized as Duke. This is just so Tennessee of them. This is just the true. This is just the way.
You're right about this one. I mean, you beat a blue blood in Duke, and then suddenly you see a Cinderella team. I mean, when hasn't there been a Cinderella team that's beaten Tennessee lately? Can we think of one? I mean, Loyola Chicago, right? They got Sister Jean. They got this crazy story of this old nun that's been following around. They go to the Final Four. Then back in 2021, Oregon State, they're a 12 seed. They were like the worst team in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
They win their conference tournament. They make it all the way to the Elite Eight. I can't explain what happens to Tennessee. It just their bad luck every single time in the tournament. And I mean, obviously this game was within their reach, so this was disappointing. But there's always got to be some ridiculous story on the other end that has to be met for the other team when they're going up against Tennessee. It just feels like that anytime they get into March.
Can I add something to that, Tucker?
Tennessee style. Yeah, go ahead, Keithon.
I was about to say, after watching this game, and it honestly hurts me to say, just got out-coached. I mean, like, when you go to the point of nobody on the court other than one person was 7 foot, yet as you look through the stats, I'm looking through the game, you're just watching it, Kamwa only had 3 shots late into the second half, and he has somebody that is 6'3", 6'4" guarding him. Now, you would think to yourself that the person that just had 27 points against Duke would have had late into the game. However, with that said, Plastic, excuse me if I said the name wrong, was leading our team in shots at one point, which is something that is a recipe for disaster. Because when has Euros ever been labeled as a scorer or a go-to offense? Then, as we go back to it, we were getting out rebounded the whole game. Now, the reason for that being is they were just way quicker than us. I think I can name that we got blocking fouls just because we have bigs guarding guards. And FAU, credit to them, they made an adjustment. They realized this. And they thought to themselves, they said, wow, maybe if we just drive and kick and force Tennessee's defense to rotate, we're going to have a lot of open shooters. And as you've seen, we were too slow helping to rotate, and it was a lot of open shooters. So as I just watched this game, it honestly, to me, it just goes down to FAU adjusted while we did it. That's my honest opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what it comes down to, and there's those situations, so many tough situations to see watching that game for Tennessee. And then, at halftime when FAU kind of caught up, that's when my feeling really sank in that I was like, I think I'm going to be right about this one. Tennessee, I originally thought they would lose to Memphis in this round, but obviously Memphis lost already and is going to be to FAU. I don't know. Just once they start to catch up, I feel like Tennessee, it's 50-50 at that point. And it's almost like they get tired. It just something bad happens. Now let's talk about Rick Barnes. A lot of people criticizing Rick Barnes this game and the whole season, of course, for his coaching and not changing things when things aren't working, making weird decisions. What did you think of Rick Barnes' decisions in this game, decision making, and I don't know. It's weird to see him on TV when you're looking at him and you're screaming at your TV and he just looks annoyed but calm, I guess.
I think, the one concern that I have in this game is the fact that you needed guys to get boards, and obviously boards were not gotten very well in this game. But Tobe Awonka is like your most natural rebounder on the team. He played, 30 seconds last night?
Yeah.
Did hardly anything. And this is the kind of game where they need to insert him in there. Now, this may upset some people, what I'm about to say, but getting rid of Rick Barnes is not even close to the answer, all right? There are a lot of good things in place here at Tennessee, and he is one of them. And, I think the fact that if you really do want him gone, you better have somebody in mind, right, that can replace him that you think would do a good job. And the thing is, with Tennessee basketball, he's the most consistent guy Tennessee's ever had.
Yeah.
So it's going to take probably 3 or 4 really, really bad seasons for somebody to even consider making that move.
Absolutely. And I agree with that, Tucker.
Yeah.
But my only issue with that is Rick Barnes has gotten away with a lot of mediocre seasons. Like, if you think of all the talent that we have had at Tennessee, Kennedy Chandler was the #1 PG in the nation. Josiah James is a 5-star PG. Just the Devontae Games 4-star. You even see with Drew Pember 3-star. So it's just like, I feel like it's a disconnect, because this is not to bash him, but I feel like most of Rick Barnes' credit is from him coaching Kevin Durant. Like, most of the time we talk about Rick Barnes is in association with Kevin Durant. And honestly, Kevin Durant was going to be Kevin Durant regardless. Now, with that said, Rick Barnes is a good coach, but I just feel like this is a lack of adjustments, because FAU, they realized that we were too big on the court, and they're just pass and kick, because we're too slow to adjust. And that's why you've seen all those open threes. And like you said, Tobe Awonka, our best rebounder. Now I'll even put you up something else. Adu played around the same amount of minutes as Euros, had less shots and more points. And I would honestly say that Adu is a more reliable option on offense to go along with all of the fouls that Plastic does, or the situation. So I just feel like the biggest part about coaching is putting your players in positions to succeed. It's honestly like chess to me. It's just a big game of chess. So for me personally, I just feel like a lot of the things we're doing are just very outdated. Like, well, I don't understand why we're still running 2 bigs. Like, it's the 90s. Like, I don't understand this. And just, like you said, Tucker, as much as we do want to get rid of him, who would we hire? Like, it's not really much that we can complain about. So, we just have to stick it out, I guess.
Yeah, I got one thing to say about that. I almost feel like it's a similar situation to the Tennessee Titans a little bit if you think about it. There are a lot of great things in place. Rick Barnes, a proven coach, kind of like Mike Vrabel. You have good defenses in place at both of them, but the offense is very sporadic, and you just don't know where it's going to come from, right? So ultimately, I think there just needs to be some retooling here. And, COVID's made this thing really interesting too, right? You've got all these dudes that are seniors that can come back if they really want to. We'll see what happens with that decision. But ultimately, I do think there does need to be a little bit of new blood in the program. Maybe a style shift, I think, is what we're looking for. It's not a coaching change.
I agree. Jace, do you have anything to say about Rick Barnes and his coaching?
I've been a fan of Coach Barnes since he's been here. Everybody's always talked about his defense since he's been here. We've been like a top 15 defense ever since for like the last several seasons, and especially this year we've seen like a top 5, top 3 unanimous defense this year. But there does come a point where we do have to consider changing a little bit. We can't stick to the defensive side of the ball and that only. We need to work in some guys that can provide a spark. Like, With Ziegler out, we don't have that guy that can make a quick steal and then hit a layup, or like a Vescovy. He's probably not going to be here next year. We're going to lose that aspect of just extra offense, and I for like the last, I know this class that's coming in, the 2023 class, there are no point guards coming in. I know we have a shooting guard in Freddie DeLone, and then we have some power forwards coming in as well, some big guys. But like we said, there is a point where defense does have to take a back seat whenever we need to score, like we did last night, whenever we get on those cold streaks that we've talked about.
And I feel like, honestly, the motto can still be defense. But with that being said, when you run two big lineups, the lineups that we are running, a good way to get easy court is to score in transition. But with that said, a lot of times when you're watching us play, we get a stop and we're just jogging it up the court. I feel like if our motto is going to be defense, we at least have to play some type of faster, because a lot of the games that you notice, these slow, drawn out games, we don't have a go-to player that can just get us a bucket in the half court. And as we seen earlier, FAU is not the best defensive team in the game, but when the biggest moment, the intensity rises, and those shots that you were wide open in the regular season are not going to be wide open anymore. So you have to take advantage of your advantages, which is transition, off for rebounds, and everything. And I just feel like we play entirely too slow if defense is going to be our motto. Because when you look at other teams, like I'll just go to the NBA with it, the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies aren't the greatest half-court offense team. That's one of the things they struggle with. Time that they get a rebound or steal, just fast breaks. And that goes to, like, as you said, Ziegler out, and he's a guy that can really push the pace. So I can understand that with him being out, it kind of makes it harder. But there's other ways to do that. Like I said, running two bigs is outdated at this point in game. And we honestly saw it happen. We saw it right in our face last night. You have something that's changed.
Yeah, there's all these criticisms happening, but it does all come down to who are we going to hire if we fire Rick Barnes? And when you kind of step back and look at it, I think you realize the absurdity of it. Rick Barnes is just going to go to some other good school.
He's probably not going to go to anywhere else at this point in his career. No, I mean, he'll get to a point where I think he said it the other day too in his media availability. It's like, if he keeps winning, I mean, I think it'll have to be a burnout situation for Rick Barnes is what it's going to be, right? Like, I think he's just going to get to a point in his career where he just feels like he's done all he can and, just has to hang it up.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
I don't think we're ever going to see him get fired from Tennessee for what he's doing right now. But, he's got some stuff left in him, though. I can still see it a little bit.
Absolutely. We do have to move on, though. Already set almost 7:20 then. We've got to move on. Tennessee, Virginia Tech. Lady Vols on the other side of things are in the Sweet 16 as well, playing tomorrow for that Elite 8 spot versus Virginia Tech. Now, Virginia Tech is a 1 seed, but the Lady Vols did play them earlier in their regular season. Virginia Tech did come out with a win, but it was quite the close game. And this is one of those games that I kind of kept referring to throughout when we were talking about the Lady Vols and their performance overall. This game back in December, the beginning of December, was a 59-56 win to then number 9 Virginia Tech versus Tennessee. And I think that, I don't know. I think I was there at that game. It was at home. I think that Tennessee played pretty well this game, and it just got away from them in the later half, if I remember correctly. So this is just one of those games that I keep going back to, saying all of the Lady Vols' losses have not been like huge dominating losses to, a number 1 seed team like Virginia Tech. It's been very close, and it's just been that they couldn't get over that hump, the final hump to win. So I think this is going to be a good game. I do think the Lady Vols have a chance to win this game, but right now I'm not too sure. I'm rooting for them, but as far as Virginia Tech is a very good game. I think the Lady Vols could go out in this round to Virginia Tech. That's what my prediction is, but I'm not. I could be swayed after the game starts tomorrow.
It's interesting because I would agree with you. Had this game been any time earlier in the year playing against Virginia Tech, right? Like, we haven't seen this team beat a ranked opponent yet this season. But the fact that, I mean, obviously Toledo and St. Louis are not anybody, ridiculous. But like you're just saying, that LSU game, that made me rethink about this a little bit because they showed that they could beat somebody really good, like an LSU team that had been in the top 5 all season long. And the fact that they made this a game at home against the Virginia Tech team that is now number 1 seed, I think that part of it will spice things up for sure. I think I could see Tennessee getting through possibly. I'm not ruling it out.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are pulling for the upset in this one. Obviously, Tennessee fans are not. I think that exactly like you said, they saw how Tennessee did against LSU and realized they had the ability to potentially beat this Virginia Tech team and go on to the Elite Eight for first time since Pat Summitt's era.
Yeah.
So that would be pretty big, and that would be really exciting for this team. You guys back at the station?
Yeah. I know. Whenever I was playing football, of course, and like every time we would make the playoffs, we would usually run into a team that we played earlier in that year. My coach always said it's harder to beat a team the second time around. So I think the Lady Vols are getting hot. Granted, they didn't have too much of a competition here in the first 2 rounds up here in Knoxville, but I'm confident. Our girls are playing confident. They're shooting the ball very, very well. It just comes down to do we come out fiery like we have the last 2 weeks, maybe with a chip on our shoulder, like, hey, we've been doubted so long. Can we make that? Can we make it back to where we used to be? I think that's going to be a big thing for us.
Yeah, and something that makes me so, I don't want to say more urgent for the Lady Vols to win, but something that really makes me push for them is the fact that Rokia Jackson says she's coming back next season. Tamari Key said so, she's well. But the thing is, this is going to be Jordan Horston's last season, and that Jordan Horston and Rokia Jackson duo is like so important to what won the LSU game. It's what's won most of our games. And I mean, watching Jordan Horston play, she's been here as long as I've been at this school covering this team. She is going to be missed. She is one of the best players and most consistent players that I've seen on this team. So I really want this team, all unbiasedness aside, Lady Vols fan, I want this team for Jordan Horston to go far because I just want to see her make it, and she deserves it.
And I think, too, we've heard all the criticisms of Kelly Harper this season, right? You schedule all these difficult opponents. You lose to every single one of them. You're having a very unimpressive season. People are comparing you to Holly Warlick. If you win this game, all that gets thrown out.
Yeah.
All of that gets thrown out.
Oh, yeah,
and the
absolutely.
fact that they made it to a Sweet 16, too, I think that alone is impressive enough. So I think, if they beat Virginia Tech, that really does, negate everything that was said negatively in Kelly Harper's direction.
Absolutely. It kind of saves her. So
it does, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Keithon, any thoughts on the Lady Vols?
Yeah, I agree with everything, y'all. One thing I'll have to add to that is March is not where the stars are made. There's so many times where so many smaller name players have made a name for themselves from March Madness. And honestly, that's where it comes down to is the star players. And Tennessee luckily has 2 of them, in Jordan Horston and Rokia Jackson, who, as we've seen at the start of SEC play, since SEC play has started, have really been starting to put the team on their back. So, and even honestly, back in the Stanford game, as we always said, every time we talk in the show, as the turning point that we noticed. But I really feel like, as we said, they're playing with confidence, and confidence takes you a long way. And they have a bunch of dogs on that team, especially in Jordan Horston, who is not afraid to take a shot, who's not afraid to miss a shot, and put everything on the line. So it would be an amazing story if the Vols can get back to the Elite Eight. Especially think that we can beat anybody in the country right now. And that includes South Carolina, because it is hard to, as you said, beat somebody twice. I'm not going to say we are going to beat South Carolina. Let me clear that. But I said that we are capable of beating South Carolina. But with that being said, I'm really confident in this team. I'm liking what I'm seeing in them.
Yeah, absolutely. You're talking about players who kind of have risen up, especially here lately. Sarah Puckett tied for top scorer in that game against Toledo with Hollingshed, both for 13 points. So we all knew Sarah Puckett was, really good from the 3-point line, but yeah, she absolutely went off that game. And there's a lot of good players on this team, which is, I just want to see them go far. I think they deserve it, and I think they can do it. I'm pretty confident in this team that they have the ability to do it. As far as winning, we'll just have to see. So I think that just about covers our basketball segment. We'll be right back in just a few minutes to start getting some Diamond Sports, both of which are happening right now in Knoxville. We'll update you on those game scores in just a few minutes. Stay tuned. You're listening to Rock Solid Sports on Volunteer Radio 90.3 The Rock.
This is Ben Holtz from Love Tractor, and you are listening to 90.3 The Rock, UT's College of Rock.
The Rock receives support from The Hill, Fort Sanders' destination for wings, beer, and sports, including a pre- and post-game hang for UT baseball and softball. The Hill is the home of Rock Solid Sports Friday broadcasts from 6 to 7 p.m. Located on Forest Avenue, just blocks from the UT campus, The Hill is open 11 a.m. to 3 a.m. every day and has a large covered patio. TheHillKnox.com.
The other half can.
Support to keep The Rock on the air comes from the UT Athletic Department and the UT Lady Vols softball team, whose 2023 home season schedule at Sherry Parker Lee Stadium features games against SEC rivals Alabama, Florida, South Carolina, and others. Allvols.com for general public tickets, and UT students are admitted with a valid student ID while seats remain. The Rock wishes Coach Weekly and the Lady Vols softball team good luck on the diamond.
The Rock thanks the Knoxville Ice Bears Southern Professional Hockey League team for their support. Their 2022-2023 home ice season from October through April includes games with SPHL rivals Fayetteville, Huntsville, Roanoke, and more at the Civic Coliseum downtown. Single game and season tickets are at KnoxvilleIceBears.com or 865-525-PUCK. Link up at WUTKRadio.com. Rock Solid Sports features Ice Bears Wednesdays with news and updates. Volunteer Radio says go Ice Bears.
The Rock thanks the nonprofit Concerts for Our Own for their support. Concerts for Our Own is a concert series providing an opportunity for local nonprofit organizations to showcase their causes and raise money for their organizations. The concert series will benefit Special Spaces, the Love Kitchen, and Breast Connect, and all shows will take place Thursday nights at the Tennessee Amphitheater at World's Fair Park. Food trucks, adult beverages, and more will be available on site. Mac McNally from the Coral Reefer Band performs June 15th. Neil Diamond Tribute, the Sweet Caroline Tour starring Jay White, is August 10th, and Here Comes the Mummies return October 12th. Tickets are on sale now at concertsforourOwn.org.
Support for WUTK comes from Fieldhouse Social, the modern sports bar next to campus at University Commons. Fieldhouse Social serves American craft fare such as burgers, wings, and more with high tops around the bar, a separate dining area, and a center lounge with leather chairs and couches in front of their 23-foot LED TV wall for Tennessee and pro sports. Fieldhouse Social is an outdoor patio with trivia twice a week and sponsors Wednesday's Rock Solid Sports. FieldhouseSocial.com.
Yo, what's up? This is New Kingston. Yes. And we're hanging out with YSN.
Big up YSN, you know?
Yeah, man. And you're listening to Volunteer Radio 90.3, The Rock. You don't know, this is New Kingston.
The sun hot like this Kingston fire. See? Someone not look at work and them can't get higher. Pick up yourself, YSN. You don't know New Kingston said that.
90.3, The Rock. Keep it locked. New Kingston said that.
Volunteer Radio remains on the air thanks to support from the UT Athletic Department. The 2023 baseball Vols season runs February into May, with games against SEC rivals Florida, Vandy, Kentucky, and more at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. Ticket info is at allvols.com. Students need to show a valid UT ID at the gate or entrance on a first-come, first-served basis. Tune in to Rock Solid Sports for UT baseball coverage, and The Rock wishes Coach Vitello and the Baseballs good luck on the diamond this season.
Volunteer Radio thanks our on-campus media partner, UTDailyBeacon.com, for their support. The Daily Beacon has served UT Knoxville as the official student editorially independent newspaper since 1906, featuring up-to-date campus and city news, sports and info on UT and Knoxville events, and the sign-up for the Beacon newsletter is on the website. The spring semester print issues of the Daily Beacon hit the streets Wednesdays at over 50 locations on campus, and stories are published daily at UTDailyBeacon.com. The Daily Beacon sponsors WUTK's UT News and Issues show, Rocky Top Roundup, Tuesday nights from 7 to 8 p.m.
The Rock thanks Cool Beans, 1817 Lake Avenue, 1 block south of the Strip, for sponsoring and hosting Monday night Rock Solid Sports broadcast at 7 p.m. Cool Beans is the campus headquarters for food, brews, pool, shot starts, sports, and more fun. Tuesday night is team trivia night, and Thursday nights are for bingo. CoolBeansBar.com or their Facebook page for more info.
Volunteer Radio receives support from Tennessee Smokies Baseball, the AA Southern League affiliate of the Chicago Cubs, whose 2023 regular season schedule features 6-game homestands Tuesdays through Sundays at nearby Smoky Stadium in Kodak against the Chattanooga Lookouts, Mississippi Braves, Birmingham Barons, and more. WUTK's Rock Solid Sports covers Smokies baseball all season long. SmokiesBaseball.com. Link up at WUTKRadio.com.
Hello, folks. My name is Henry Rollins, and you are listening to 90.3 The Rock, UT College of Rock. I advise that you touch yourself, touch your friends, but don't touch that dial.
Welcome back to Rock Solid Sports Friday night, sponsored by the Hill Bar and Grill, located in the Fort Sanders area at the corner of 12th Street and Forest Avenue. The Hill Bar and Grill is a bar, restaurant, and caterer with wings, burgers, tacos, and more, with dining indoors where their expanded outdoor patio area and curbside pickup is available. More info at thehillknocks.com or on their social media. And yeah, it's getting pretty bumping in here, playing some good music. A lot of games on TV, women's March Madness and golf and more. Lots to do here down at the Hill. And we thank them so much for being our Friday night sponsor. Let's get into Diamond Sports. Both two things happening live here in Knoxville right now with men and women's Diamond Sports. First of all, baseball. It's the top of the third right now, I think.
Yeah.
And Tennessee, I have a huge sigh of relief to do because Tennessee is winning 7-3 in the top of the third versus their second SEC opponent, Texas A&M, here at Lindsey Nelson Stadium.
Yeah, this is looking good at the moment for Tennessee, but then again, we'll see how the staff holds up later on. But the thing with Texas A&M is they were tough last season, right? No one saw them coming. They were, I think, either the 13th or 14th best team in 2021 in the SEC. They were number 2 overall when it was all said and done in SEC regular season play last year. They make it all the way to Omaha. So this is going to be a really tough series for Tennessee. I'm interested to see how they do, especially after what was an absolute dud of a series up in Como last weekend. That's putting it lightly.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why I'm sighing this huge sigh of relief. And, series in Missouri.
It looks like the Bats are finally doing something because, what was the most Tennessee scored in that game? Like 3 or 4 in Mizzou in that series?
4, yeah.
Yeah, the Bats just haven't been clicking as well this season for Tennessee. And I think that's something that will come along with time. I think there are definitely a couple guys in the lineup that are looking really good, but it's just the fact that you no longer have that just depth 1 through 9 where you are just a home run away no matter who it is at the plate. It's a completely different team this year, and there's a lot of growth and maturing to be done, but baseball is a marathon, not a sprint.
Absolutely. We really were spoiled last year. We didn't even know it.
Oh, yeah.
So
because, when you go 55-7, that's just not baseball.
Yeah.
It's not baseball at all. You expect the losses to come here and there, and Coach Vitello said it himself. He was just like, I'm kind of surprised the losses didn't come more often.
Yeah.
Just because that's just the nature of the game.
Absolutely. Jace, I know you have been at a Lindsey Nelson a few times, and you're a big baseball guy. What are you, after that series that was last week down in Missouri, what are you expecting from this week's series, or what do you want to see versus A&M?
I want to see, first of all, it didn't happen today, of course. It just seemed like every time we've seen Chase Dolander on the mound, those first couple innings, he's just been getting peppered up there, giving up 2-3 runs in that first inning, which reminds me a little bit of Chad Dallas here up in my freshman year. He'd get banged up in the first inning, and then he'd come out and strike out like 11 guys through the next 5 or so. So I'd like to see that kind of switch around for us, of course. Of course, you want to see the Bats wake up. Last weekend was, like Tucker said, a dud of a weekend. And, again, putting that lightly. We just got to have like a spark. We haven't seen Burke do too much in the last couple weeks. of course, that comes with baseball. It's ebbs and flows. Everybody knows that. But like you said, like last year was just an anomaly. I'll say it definitely, in my opinion, is the greatest college baseball team of all time. We don't have anything to prove that, of course, but it's I don't know. I'm hoping that we can find a way to bounce back this weekend, whether that be just grabbing 2 of the 3 or just a weekend sweep would be nice to see. But like we said, last year A&M had a crazy good year. They've had a pretty good start so far this year. Won 1 of 3 last weekend. But it's baseball, so let's just hope that we can get it turned around soon. But no crazy high expectations as of just yet.
I would say our proof of that we were the best team was that record last year.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure.
And the thing too is that, oh gosh, I just lost my train of thought. But Jason's right about Chad Dallas struggling. It's kind of similar to what we've seen from Chase Dollander. It's just a thing with pitchers. You can't always tell. I mean, some years you'll see a guy that's dominant like Dollander was last year, but then you have other years where you have the innings that are just ugly, and you got to pull the guy because he's not doing as well. But, I mean, those same guys, they can get right back out of it. I mean, I've talked to several Vanderbilt baseball fans, me being a Nashville guy. I mean, they know some guys that have been in the MLB right now. I mean, I can think of, what's the guy's name? Walker Buehler that plays for the Dodgers. Mm-hmm. At times, he was just kind of inconsistent through the lineup at Vanderbilt, just, not doing what they knew he could do. But look at him now. He's doing well in the MLB. So you just don't know with pitching. It's just a tricky game, very, very mental.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I tell all my friends who are like, baseball is slow. I'm like, no, it's a chess match. Like, it's not. Baseball is slow, baseball is boring. It's not like that. And that's what, you really just have to watch this team and get out there to see. They're so fun, so exciting. Lindsey Nelson is a place, I always say this, Lindsey Nelson is a place that I had never been to before a few years ago.
No, I mean, until we were in college, I mean, you had no reason to go there.
Yeah.
You had no reason to go there because this team had not been relevant for 15, 16 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously Vitello was building something before the pandemic.
Right.
We'll never know what would have happened in 2020. This team was on track to do very well, though. Of course, 21 was great. Last season was great. So you're without that core now. This will be a test for Tony Vitello to see if he can maintain some stability. I mean, he's even said, too, that giving this team a number 2 ranking with preseason with the fact that you've lost as much as you have in your starting lineup, too. I think that's, maybe a little bit of overranking there. And, I mean, unfortunately, he's right about that. But, yeah. That's what I have to say about that.
And I've lived in Knoxville my whole life, and I didn't know. I didn't know where it was on campus, and then I've had some of my best memories there. The 1 year, 2 years ago, beating LSU to go to the World Series.
That was fun.
There was one game that started pouring raining, but nobody cared. We were all cheering when it rained. It was so fun.
I can remember the Vanderbilt series here 2 years ago. I mean, Tennessee lost that series, but that second game against Vanderbilt was just so much fun because it felt like this program had life.
Right.
It really did.
Right. And it still does. And I really hope that this is a win against Texas A&M. Like we've been saying, we need to get that first SEC win because I feel like that's really just the key we need to get.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is, you're right. And the big thing is you got to find your way to Hoover somehow because if you're not getting to Hoover, then you're not doing anything in the postseason. I mean, I don't know why I said that, but you just
it's true.
Obviously, the wins do have to start coming at some point because. I mean, we all saw what Ole Miss did last year. They were able to round out just enough wins to get into the tournament. Hoover, I think, is like the 8th seed or something not great. And then we're, of course, very fortunately allowed in to the tournament by the NCAA, and then they proved everybody wrong. Yeah. So, I mean, I would hope this Tennessee team does a little bit better than that team did in SEC play, but anything can happen in baseball. It's a weird sport, very weird sport.
Yeah, for sure. Moving on over to the women's Lady Ball softball playing over at Cherry Parker Lee as well this weekend. It is the top of the 6th, and they are beating Alabama 4-0. And, this is a big one. This is a really big series for the Lady Balls. so far their most notable game has probably, well, they swept LSU. They went down to Baton Rouge and swept them. And then, of course, Clemson, who's a really good softball team. They played them and beat them as well. And so now we got number 13, Alabama. Tennessee's number 3 here in Knoxville. Looks like they are doing pretty good so far. Top of the 6. Softball, once again, only has 7 innings.
Yeah, and Bama's been at the top of the totem pole recently in the SEC, right? I mean, we've all heard about Montana Fouts, how just great of a pitcher she's been at Alabama. I don't think she's there anymore, but, you know, they've been at the top for a while. This would be a very meaningful win for Tennessee. And, you know, Tennessee, they've been good enough to get into the NCAA tournament. They've been ranked consistently. They just haven't been able to find their way to Oklahoma City in quite some time. And I think last year was a perfect microcosm of that, right? You host a regional, but you get beat by Oregon State in what I think was game 3 maybe of that one. So they had that opportunity to get onto a super, but I think, you know, this year, if things keep going the way they're going, we could see this team in Omaha again sometime soon. I mean, not Omaha, Oklahoma City rather, which, by the way, I still think it's terrible that they play that World Series there, just considering the fact that you're giving Oklahoma a home field advantage and they've run college softball. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oklahoma,
that will be a major power added to the SEC outside of football, Oklahoma softball.
No, absolutely. That's what they're known for. But, yeah, this Tennessee team, Ashley Rogers, of course, Carlin Pickens, and recently Mackenzie Donahue. I think she's a transfer from Oklahoma, actually, coming in and knocking out some home runs. And, of course, Kiki Malloy.
Kiki's been good. And I know, I don't know if she's still here, Zeta Pooney was another one that transferred in from Oklahoma. So, you know, the portal can work in interesting ways, and that's been one good aspect of it is Tennessee's gotten to have some of those, I guess, what you might call Oklahoma rejects that could have done really well there, but they just got beat up by other people. But they're still really good because they were recruited by Oklahoma, so that's why they're here now.
Right, but I'm hoping that this is kind of the perfect storm, the perfect, you know, group of girls to really get to Oklahoma this year.
I would hope they do.
Yeah, exactly. Jace, anything on the softball team?
You know, of course, somehow. Like I didn't even realize this. I knew that we have been hot. I knew we had only lost 1 game this year. I didn't realize that it has been. Give me just a moment here. It has been since February 18th since they last lost a ball game. Knock on wood on that. But it's looking pretty good tonight. 19 straight. That's very last year baseball-esque of our Lady Vols right now. Again, knock on wood. Hopefully we don't get the same result that we had last year with the baseball, but this team has blown me away this year. They've come out hot. They've stayed hot through getting close to the midway point in the season. They're rocking and rolling. I couldn't have seen it rolling out better than it has so far. Kiki Malloy is balling right now, 13 home runs on the year. Haven't seen the stats for tonight. Could be more than that right now, but that team is just rolling right now. I don't see anybody stopping them in the near future.
Me neither. I really don't, and it's going to be super exciting to watch this team. If you haven't already gone down to Sherry Parker Lee, definitely do. It's a super fun environment.
They're quick games too. Really quick games. They go quick.
It's crazy how much 2 less innings can make.
It's not just about the 2 less innings. I mean, obviously you have smaller base paths and whatever, but it's just the fact that this game just goes so fast.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, obviously baseball has done things to shorten the game. You still don't get those lulls in softball.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild.
It's super fun, and man, I would go just to watch some of these players. They're great. They're super fun. Mackenzie, speaking with Mackenzie Donahue, almost has one of my coworkers that almost has a kind of a Drew Gilbertness about her when she scores. She's super fun. We're going to be right back, though. We're going to talk pro sports and more March Madness on the other side. We'll see you there. You're listening to Rock Solid Sports on Volunteer Radio 90.3 The Rock.
The Rock receives support from The Hill, Fort Sanders' destination for wings, beer, and sports, including a pre- and post-game hang for UT baseball and softball. The Hill is the home of Rock Solid Sports Friday broadcasts from 6 to 7 p.m. Located on Forest Avenue, just blocks from the UT campus, The Hill is open 11 a.m. to 3 a.m. every day and has a large covered patio. TheHillKnox.com.
The other half can.
Volunteer Radio receives support from Tennessee Smokies Baseball, the AA Southern League affiliate of the Chicago Cubs, whose 2023 regular season schedule features 6-game homestands Tuesdays through Sundays at nearby Smoky Stadium in Kodak against the Chattanooga Lookouts, Mississippi Braves, Birmingham Barons, and more. WUTK's Rock Solid Sports covers Smokies Baseball all season long. SmokiesBaseball.com. Link up at WUTKRadio.com.
Support for WUTK comes from Fieldhouse Social, the modern sports bar next to campus at University Commons. Fieldhouse Social serves American craft fare such as burgers, wings, and more with high tops around the bar, a separate dining area, and a center lounge with leather chairs and couches in front of their 23-foot LED TV wall for Tennessee and pro sports. Fieldhouse Social is an outdoor patio with trivia twice a week and sponsors Wednesday's Rock Solid Sports. FieldhouseSocial.com.
Support to keep the Rock on the air comes from the UT Athletic Department and the UT Lady Vols softball team, whose 2023 home season schedule at Sherry Parker Lee Stadium features games against SEC rivals Alabama, Florida, South Carolina, and others. Allvols.com for general public tickets, and UT students are admitted with a valid student ID while seats remain. The Rock wishes Coach Weekly and the Lady Vols softball team good luck on the diamond.
The Rock thanks Lost and Found Records, 3710 North Broadway in Knoxville for supporting WTK. Lost and Found Records has our brand new WTK Big Orange Cursive Font Gray hoodies in medium through 3XL sizes available to purchase. And just in time for baseball season, Lost and Found also sells our new cursive font short sleeve tees and 3/4 sleeve tees. All proceeds benefit WTK. Lost and Found reminds all that Record Store Day is April 22nd. Opening at 11 a.m. Monday through Saturday and 1 p.m. on Sundays, lostandfoundrecords.com or on their social media platforms. The Rock thanks Lost and Found Records for selling our new WTK hoodies, t-shirts, as well as our WTK pint glasses and caps.
Hello, Knoxville. We're Girl Scout Troop 20034, and you're listening to Volunteer Radio. Go Vols!
The Rock thanks Cool Beans 1817 Lake Avenue, 1 block south of the Strip, for sponsoring and hosting the Monday Night Rock Solid Sports broadcast at 7 p.m. Cool Beans offers lunch daily and is 21 and over after 9 p.m. with a full and late night menu, and is the pre and post game on campus location for Vols and Smokies baseball and Lady Vols softball. MLB, pro soccer, and even the Preds on the big screens. CoolBeansBar.com or their Facebook page for more info.
Around the third and headed for home.
Volunteer Radio remains on the air thanks to support from the UT Athletic Department. The 2023 baseball Vols season runs February into May, with games against SEC rivals Florida, Vandy, Kentucky, and more at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. Ticket info is at allvols.com. Students need to show a valid UT ID at the gate or entrance on a first-come, first-served basis. Tune in to Rock Solid Sports for UT baseball coverage, and The Rock wishes Coach Vitello and the Baseballs good luck on the diamond this season.
The Rock thanks the Knoxville Ice Bears Southern Professional Hockey League team for their support. Their 2022-2023 home ice season from October through April includes games with SPHL rivals Fayetteville, Huntsville, Roanoke, and more at the Civic Coliseum downtown. Single game and season tickets are at KnoxvilleIcebears.com or 865-525-PUCK. Link up at WUTKRadio.com. Rock Solid Sports features Ice Bears Wednesdays with news and updates. Volunteer Radio says go Ice Bears.
Hey, this is Rob.
This is Derek.
From the Funhouse. For over a decade, we've been getting your weekend started right.
So grab a beverage or whatever it is you need to grab and tune in every Friday night at 8 o'clock.
On 90.3 The Rock, Volunteer Radio.
It's the best show in the universe.
Welcome back to Rock Solid Sports live from the Hill Bar and Grill, our Friday night sponsor, located in the Fort Sanders area at the corner of 12th Street and Forest Avenue. The Hill Barn Girls Bar, Restaurant, and Caterer with wings, burgers, tacos, and more with dining indoors or their expanded outdoor patio area. And curbside pickup is also available. More info at thehillknocks.com or on their social media. And let's get back into our last segment here. Pro Sports, of course, got to mention John Morant back playing after his suspension. After, how many games was it?
I forget.
6 games?
It was
6 game
It
suspension?
was a few games, yep.
Yeah, either of you guys know back at the station. I know Sam is a Grizzlies fan, and Keithon, anything on John Morant?
The Grizzlies are looking very dangerous right now if you're keeping up with NBA basketball. And it's not because of John Morant. It's if you've been watching, Jaren Jackson Jr. is averaging 30 points per game over his last 5 games. And a lot of you may not know this, but Jaren was for Ja, and he was drafted the year before Ja. He is younger. So a lot of people have him as the current Defensive Player of the Year leader. But if he keeps playing at the level that he's playing, especially on offense, this team is going to be very tough to beat come postseason time. And
Jaren Jackson is so scary, man.
Very.
He's scary. I mean, if you think about it, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just like to say that, I mean, the whole Ja Morant situation, when he was gone, we were so good, man. We were beating all these teams. We were looking really good. We already have a pretty good seed in the playoffs and everything. And then he came back, masked Ja Morant. We all know what happens when an NBA player wears a mask. That's insane. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. But yeah, this, like as you said, I mean, a lot of depth, and the West is wide open. I mean, Denver hasn't really impressed me too much, honestly. Just even though they're really good, they still have a lot of questions on defense. The Clippers just took a blow with Paul George being injured. You have injuries with Kevin Durant, even though he's looking like he'll come back. We still don't know how healthy he'll be come postseason time. So it's really wide open right now. And as we said earlier, in terms of March Madness, or postseason is where stars come alive. And that's, as we know, if you've been keeping up, Ja Morant plays his best basketball come postseason. I mean, go to last season, a lot of people, including myself, believed that if Ja wasn't hurt, that we definitely could have beat the Warriors last season. And Ja averaged 38 points a game in that series. So this team is going to be definitely tough to beat. I mean, number 2 defense in the league. So it's going to be a tough out. Have a guy in Jaren just talked about averaging 30 in the last 5. Guys like Desmond Bain. So yeah, it's just looking very scary right now.
Man, Keithon, as we're like we're talking about the NBA right now, before we get out of that conversation, I wanted to ask, how far do you think the Suns will go? I mean, when KD comes back, that's gonna be scary. A lot of people say they're gonna go all the way, but I don't know. What do you think?
With KD coming back, the Suns are honestly, like you said, one really have a lot of defenders, and even though Ayton is 7 foot, to me, honestly, he plays very soft in my opinion. So, and he honestly, it was a lot of questions about him in the offseason because remember, I don't know if you remember, but he signed with the Pacers as a restricted free agent, and then he ended up getting the Suns had matched the offer. So
Yeah, some hoops for their NBA season heating up. Going to be super exciting. We'll be talking more of that on our shows here coming up. In more basketball, college basketball, let's just do overall assessment of March Madness, if you will. Obviously, right now, Alabama playing San Diego State. Alabama just got ahead, I think, 36-32. Is that the current score that you're seeing? Okay. Yeah, San Diego State's beating them just literally 3 minutes ago.
Yeah,
So.
and they had the lead at halftime.
Yeah.
And then Miami's up on Houston as well, 36-31. I actually had Miami winning this game in my bracket. I would not be surprised if they did. I just had that feeling with Houston, they're like a second coming of Gonzaga where, they're going to get through the first weekend. They might find their way into the Final Four. They're just not going to win the whole thing. That's kind of what I see with this team.
Yeah, I couldn't pick them to win
yeah.
just because I just knew there was going to be something.
And then the thing with this Bama-San Diego State game, too, I mean, Brandon Miller has not been playing 100% all tournament long, so that's been an issue for them. And, San Diego State, they're a very defensive-minded team, kind of similar to the team here on Rocky Top that took down Alabama. So maybe there's something interesting to see there. And, yeah, I mean, those are going to be some really good games, as they are this time of year. I mean, we saw a great one last night between Michigan State and Kansas State. That game was awesome. Love to see a little dude like Marquise Noel take over the game the way he did with those 20 points and 19 assists. That's just so hard to do. And that set a tournament record for assists in a game with 19.
Yeah, there's definitely the games you watch March Madness for, but also for teams like Princeton, who I don't think anyone I know had coming this far.
Absolutely not.
Princeton versus Creighton tonight at 9 p.m., right? Yeah, tonight at 9.
And you know what's impressive about this is Princeton's defended very, very well. I mean, they shut down a very potent Arizona offense in the first round. Obviously, with Mizzou, it's a little bit easier sometimes because if their shots are not falling, their offense is just not going to click. They're not going to out-rebound you. And I think that's kind of what we saw happen there. But, maybe they got what it takes to go up against Creighton. We saw a 15 in St. Peter's last year make it into the Elite Eight. So maybe it can happen 2 years in a row. We'll see.
Yeah, and then you said something earlier about UConn. UConn plays Gonzaga tomorrow.
I think UConn is scary right now. I mean, I thought they would probably give UCLA a hard time if they were to play them. I can't wait to see what that matchup looks like tomorrow night between UConn and Gonzaga. And, the Huskies have really graced their way through this tournament. I mean, they obviously had close games at halftime against Iona and St. Mary's the first couple of rounds, but they just outran them both second halves. And then last night, it was a full beatdown of Arkansas. And, UConn seems to win tournaments in very random years. This is a pretty random year, and UConn is right now sitting in the Elite Eight. I could see it happening.
Yeah.
I really could.
I can too. It would be something. It's definitely something that can happen. I'm excited to see the result of Houston versus Miami in the second half. Like I said, I didn't pick Houston because I think that this is a game for them to mess up on, and this is a game for them to lose, here in the Sweet 16. Because although they have such great games, there's just a few that it's like, oh, they shouldn't have lost that, but they do. So we'll see. If you guys had to pick if you guys had a second chance starting in the Sweet 16 with your bracket, because I know all of your brackets are very busted probably, who would you pick in your Final Four based on the teams still in the tournament?
I guess right now, let me pull up the bracket. I know. I know mine got busted really bad. I had UCLA winning it all, and last night Gonzaga just crushed my dreams of winning my bracket. But I'm gonna roll my Final Four as of today. Will probably Kansas State. I think that'll be one. I'm gonna roll with UConn. UConn is playing out of their minds right now. I think Alabama will pull through on this one, and I think they'll beat the winner of Creighton or Princeton. And then I think personally, I hate to say it, but I think Texas might be able to pull out of that. What region is that? The Midwest. Yeah, I think they might be able to pull out of that Midwest region over Houston or Miami.
I'll go. Give me Kansas State, give me Bama, give me Texas, and give me UConn. Is that what you just said?
It is.
Yeah, it is.
That's what you just said. Okay.
I will have some variety here for you. I'm going to go with the Miami Hurricanes here. I don't think Kansas State's losing to Florida Atlantic. We always pay a price with the upsets we see, and that's a blowout game in the later rounds. So I just don't see that happening. I'd like UConn to get through Gonzaga. That's the kind of team that can definitely get through the Zags this part of the season. And then, like you guys were saying, too, with Alabama, I mean, they're struggling right now, and I think they can get through tonight. I think they can probably get through Creighton or Princeton. More likely it'll be Creighton that they end up playing, but you never know. But I really do see it with this Miami team. They surprised everybody last year as, an 11 seed, I believe. So, right now they've got a lead on Houston, and they've got the guards, and guard play is just so essential in March. And they got guys that can get buckets, too, when you need them. I'm looking particularly at Isaiah Wong. I mean, they were obviously the 5 seed in the 4-5 matchup against Indiana, and Indiana had been coming on strong at the end of the season. Miami ended up winning that game by 16. just because of the performance of Isaiah Wong. I mean, he is that guy for this team, and I think he's going to deliver for them, get them into the Final Four.
Let's hear Keithon. Who's your revised Final Four?
I don't think Keithon is with us.
Okay, I don't think Keithon's with us either. Well, we'll have to hear. Well, we can't hear from him later, but we'll
All right, Chloe, I'm
we'll
going to
figure it out.
interrupt.
Okay,
I
yeah,
got
Sam,
one for a second,
yeah,
Chloe.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely got UConn going. I'm going to agree with all you guys. I got Kansas State going. I got Alabama going, but I agree with Tucker. I got Miami going all the way. I got to agree with you, man. The whole time you're talking, I was like, you're speaking my language right now. I do have Miami going. I think Houston, I don't know. Houston is going to screw up. I just feel something with Miami. My intuition. It didn't help me so far in my bracket, but I feel like I got it at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I think too. I think Houston will screw up definitely against Miami. I think Miami's going to win this game tonight, but I think Texas pulls through. I don't know, but Miami.
It's a good choice too.
We'll just have to see. Yeah, we'll just have to see. I think that's going to do it for our show tonight. Yeah, got a lot of March Madness in, and we thank you guys so much for tuning in, anyone who listened, and we thank The Hill for being our wonderful sponsor on Friday nights and helping keep us on the air. And we'll see you on Monday, and when we will actually know who's in the Final Four. And yeah, it's an exciting time. Make sure you stay tuned to 90.3 The Rock for the Fun House coming up right after that. We'll see you Monday. You're listening to Volunteer Radio, 90.3 The Rock, UT's College of Rock.